Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to World Class Radio. I am your host, Ricky Canales, and yes, we are finally back. Before we move forward, I just wanted to thank everyone who has shown love to our podcast, but on our Instagram page as well. It means a lot, and I appreciate every single one of you. I do want to mention, though, that since we are growing, that means we want to amp up our production on our brand. This may be our last show on how it's set up, but you're just going to have to follow us on Instagram to find out the latest updates. I'm excited how 2022 is looking for us, and I hope that we can entertain you as much as possible so that you, the listeners, follow us every single step of the way. Now, let me introduce my special guest, a great friend of mine that took his coaching skills into his own hands and built a business around it. Care to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Boris Sinefeu. I'm a soccer coach and business owner. Play soccer my whole life, and that's all about me.
It's very short and sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you did mention that you do coach.
Yeah, I do.
And how long have you been coaching for?
I've been coaching for a while. I started coaching here in Jacksonville in 2017. I was coaching for a small company, a big company actually called Happy Feet. It's national. And then after a year and a half or so, I left to start my own. So I've been doing this on my own for about a year and a half, 2 years now.
A year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah.
So you started your business two years and a half?
Yeah, I started in 2019, to be honest. It was April 2019 when I was on the verge of just leaving Happy Feet and starting my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I had anything against Happy Feet, but just because I wanted to have that independence and freedom of doing my own thing as I will. But yeah, it's been 2019, so 2 years now. It's more than 2 years now, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I stopped keeping track of things. But
How long did it take for you to, make it something thriving? Because, let's say make it a full-time job.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to make it a full-time job?
After 6 to 8 months, I'll say. Because
Okay.
at the very beginning, I was just still experiencing. I was just doing something that I love, to be honest. I loved, giving the kids something that they had never learned before in terms of real soccer, right? The drills that real professional players do. But after 6 or 8 months, I saw a huge improvement, and the word of mouth that I was getting blessed with was just huge. So after 6 or 8 months, I started doing it on my own. I quit all my other jobs. I kept some, that were part-time, but I started doing this more and more and more and more. And then, let's say about a year, officially a year and a half, I was doing this full-time. So,
really?
Yeah.
Were you working part-time? Or before, or during those 6-8 month periods?
So I did some logistics stuff, believe it or not.
Yeah, yeah?
Yeah, I did some finance where I was doing loans for, the PPP loans that came out during the pandemic. I was doing that as well. I worked in a call center where I was calling people to do surveys. I did a lot of things, but I was still doing coaching on the side, and that's the one thing that I ultimately liked the most. So at the end, I just decided to do it full time and still kind of invest on the side, but that's what I've decided to do.
Well, for any business, it's always difficult to keep it moving.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were days that made you wonder, is this really worth it? How did you stay persistent, and what made you keep going, and so that you didn't look back and really think, do I really want to just keep doing this? Because running a business is difficult,
Yeah, it's
especially if there's nothing coming in,
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, what really kept me going was the idea that I was going to play soccer. Right? This is something that I always liked to do my whole life. I mean, I'm not the only one. There are millions of people out there that just want to go out there and play soccer, and that feeling just never disappear. And what really pushed me the most was when the more I went out there and taught people how to do things, and see them progress and see them learn, the more I learned myself, because it was like an experiment.
Yeah.
It's like you think you know something, but then you try it, and then you figure out that you actually know. So that was the exciting part, and that always keeps me going. And the best thing, or the most exciting thing about this project that I'm doing, is that it's never over. Like, soccer is not just soccer. You get to experience like emotional connections and relationship with different type of players, and then you encounter players that are probably not listening, or they don't have this type of skill, they don't have that type of skill in their life, so you're trying to bring that in their life, and you slowly see the change. So it feels like something that will never end, because you keep learning new things, and the more players you get to work with, the more exciting it becomes.
Right.
So it's like a never-ending cycle, to be honest.
That's interesting, because I've always thought about what's a good coach and what's a bad coach. Because to me, I mean, for college, I think I experienced a bad coach, but I don't think I really did, if that makes sense. Maybe I just wasn't motivated as I was in high school.
Yeah.
So do you really go deep into the emotions? Like, I know coaches just coach on, kicking a ball and improving yourself, but do you also improve on their emotions, like their mentality before going into a game? Like, do you even ask your players when they come in for a session and just ask, like, what did you do in this game, and what do you think you should work on in this practice?
So literally, when I started this business, my main focus was the mentality. So I've always preached and talked about mental and physical toughness. At first, it was very physical and mental toughness, but I've narrowed it down to just mental toughness. So it's always about the mentality. It's always about how you can approach the game from a different angle, not just the way you look on the field, but then how you feel on the field, right?
Yeah.
So I always ask my players, what are your goals for the next season?
Yeah.
And then they tell me they want to be faster, they want to score more goals. And then I ask them, what do you think you can do to achieve those little goals that you have set for yourself? They tell me, I need to work on my quick feet, I need to work on my dribbling, I need to work on taking more shots. Okay, and then so when we go and practice it, I hold them accountable. So if they're practicing and they're sluggish, and I ask them, is that really how you want to be performing? Do you think that this performance is going to take you to the level that you want to achieve by the end of the season?
Right.
They'll go no, and then that's just my way now of working on their mental side of it. Because everyone knows how to kick a ball. There's no doubt, unless I'm coaching someone that's 4 and 3, which I've done. But at the end of the day, they all know how to do it. So your main job as a coach, not your main, but like a huge part of your job is to understand that you have to work on their mental side to push them. Because as a coach, you can't use your feet. I can show them how to do it, and they'll be surprised and wild about it, but you cannot do it for them. So you have to find ways to make them want to do it the way they want to do it. And that's hard, because you have different type of players, you have different skill level, you have different ages, you have different personalities, different everything. And you got to work with them. So that's exciting. But I forgot what your question was.
You pretty much answered, mentality is definitely the number one thing, because I've experienced whereas in college it's just like you have coaches that are just dogging you down, and I think that's honestly, when I look back at them, like, maybe that was something that I needed, someone giving me that push. But I think there's also a difference between someone dogging you down and making you just mentally tougher and there's a difference between that and someone just yelling at you for no reason. So, and that's why I always think is what's really more important, your skill level or your mentality? Like, is it just mostly because you can be so great with the ball, but you can have a poor attitude, you know what I mean? So you can get past 3 players, but the minute that 4th defender gets you and clears the ball, you're throwing your arms up in the air. But
I think
with the coach in the background just yelling at you, it's going to affect everything with what you're doing, that it makes you want to quit at that point.
Mentality is huge in soccer. I mean, I can tell you a personal thing. I played for UNF. I played Division 1.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did play Division 1, and to be honest, I ended up not liking it because it was my fault. I'm not gonna blame anyone for it because I wasn't mentally tough enough. But I'm not gonna lie to you. No one ever taught me how to be mentally tough. That's exactly why I came up with my own philosophy of being mentally tough on the field. So anyone throwing things at you, you got to be able to receive it and like push it aside and just keep going. And that's one thing I kind of struggled with when I came, to UNF. The coaches will throw things at you because they have 26 to 30 players to work with. This is not a sorority or fraternity. Like, they're here to put in the work. This is a professional environment.
Right.
And it gets worse when you go to a professional level. You got players that usually sign for big teams and don't play. So I understood the more I played college, the better I understood that you have to be mentally tough to take those big punches that are coming at you like day in, day out. Not even from just coaches. Sometimes it's the players themselves. And they're young. I used to blame them and say, oh, they don't like me, they like me, this and that. But I was not mentally tough enough to receive all those punches. So when I'm coaching, I'm trying to make sure that I explain to my players exactly how I feel about them. Like, I don't hate any player or not dislike any player. But if I'm tough on them, I want to make sure that they don't understand that it's for the better. Like, I want you to succeed. That's why I'm pushing you to that level. But it was never the same case for me. The coach will be yelling at me because I'm making the team bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how you understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's different. It's different.
Did you ever have a player, like one of your players, just walk off?
Yeah, I had players that just walk off. They stopped caring. One of our strikers, one day he just say he doesn't want to play anymore. He just walked out the field. The coach said, come over here. He was lucky enough. He kept playing. But if I had done that with everything that was coming at me, I was done. Because I cared too much about the team.
Oh, at UNF?
At UNF, yeah.
Oh, no, but I'm talking about with you. With your...
Oh, my
your
players.
business.
No, my players in my business, they don't... No one walks off.
Okay, I was about to say...
Yeah, no one walks off.
You don't have like a Google review or anything like that?
Hopefully not.
That's what I was wondering, because I always think about, you have your good days, but then you also have your bad days.
No, you definitely have bad days as a coach.
But UNF, you had some players I can expect someone at UNF walking off. But for you, because you coach, but you don't coach a team, correct?
I don't coach teams. I do personal, private, and individual. But I'll tell you that I've had people like cry on the field.
Yeah.
On the field, and I'll just stop and ask, like, what's the reason? They just tell me, oh, it's not me, or it's not this. But sometimes I thought that maybe it was my fault because I pushed them too hard.
Yeah.
Every player is different. I might push this player super hard, and they're still gonna keep it. And then I have this other player that I pushed a little bit harder, and then they just start tearing up. And that has happened to me multiple times.
But they mention it to you, it's not your fault.
They'll tell me it's not my fault or anything like that, which I understand. Sometimes it's really not my fault. Sometimes they're not mentally prepared for it.
But that's what you're there for.
That's what they're there for. But I've never had anyone quit before because I pushed them too much.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering. I was like, wow, really? Someone really walked away from you?
Yeah,
but you're talking about UNF still. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Before UNF, were you playing in high school, or like, what's your background?
Before UNF, I was in Kansas State University. That's where I transferred from.
Okay.
And I mainly came to UNF because I wanted to play soccer.
Oh, okay.
And I also wanted to study in a...
Did you ever hear about Jacksonville or anything like that before?
I never heard about... I know about Florida, obviously. So Florida man things. Yeah. Those are the memes that we used to laugh about all the time.
Oh, okay.
And I became one of them.
Welcome to the internet. So you went from KSU, right?
Yeah, KSU. Yeah.
Yeah, and
the
then
Wildcats.
Before that, where were you?
Before that, I was in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, I was in South Africa, and then I came here 2015. I was at school, and then I decided that I didn't really want to just go to school, and I wanted to play soccer. So I left, transferred to Jacksonville. Yeah, but before that, I grew up in South Africa, in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Oh wow!
It's
big. Is it a big difference? I'm I'm just asking the dumbest question in the world right now.
No,
but
it's I'll see it as a big difference in terms of the social life that people have on a daily basis. So one thing that I always mention is the gate that people have around their house, or the little closure that people have around their house in South Africa, and that's everywhere. That's not something that you'll find here in the U.S. You can just walk into someone's house here, right? And I feel like you can socialize a lot more here by even going to the park and just playing with other people, or just, I guess going to the beach is the same everywhere, but like on a day-to-day basis, it's a lot different than here, because everything is pretty much closed. Now the barrier of the social classes and racial classes is still kind of new. It's still a new concept to the country.
Really?
Yeah, because it was, the country was segregated until 1994, when Nelson Mandela became president. Yeah. So the country itself is like 27 years old. And you're comparing it to a country like this, which is 200 and something years old. You know what I mean? That's the scale that you're working with. It's not the same.
It's a big difference, huh?
Big difference.
Now, as far as the soccer, though.
I mean, I feel like we have a lot more infrastructure here. I don't know how to say it, but in terms of skill, I feel like we have more natural skill players, because people just grow up playing soccer on the street, or just club, or just having the freedom to just play. And here it's a lot more privileged kids that can actually afford to get access to a lot of
that's one thing
good soccer.
That's one thing that bothers me, because I remember I've seen this on thing on Instagram or something like that, whereas Zlatan is mentioning about how he has to pay $3,000 just for his child to go play soccer. And from a coach's point of view, is that something that's very difficult to see, especially here in the U.S., for someone like who can't afford to play on the big league but has the skill set and also maybe the mindset to play? Because you see players like, obviously we have like Ronaldo, Messi, they came from nothing, but now they're one of the best players in the world, but they didn't have to pay out of pocket and all this stuff. But here in the U.S., it's kind of a different story. So we can go on for that, but is it something that you don't see in South Africa at all?
No, not really. I mean, South Africa has so many clubs. You don't really see kids playing to play. I mean, the best players are the ones that are broke. So guess where the scouts are going? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because scouts are going for long-term stuff. But here, soccer is a business. It's an entertainment. It's sometimes I don't even call it it's a game, but it's more for entertainment. You can literally see it. So the scouts are going to clubs, but the clubs is a business, and every single player in there is paying $3,000, $4,000 to play. So obviously you're going to pick the best out of the $4,000 players. Yeah. But those that can't afford to play, they're on the street, but they're still somewhat better than some of the people on the academy. But it's really sad. It's sad because then you get to a national level, and then you only have kids that only play a club, and they play college, and then after college they got drafted. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not to say that they're bad, but you could literally have so much more talent if you even. I think it has to do with social class too, the way people live here. I mean, there's like talking about pickup soccer. Like if you go on the street and you ask 100 people right now, random people, do you want to play pickup soccer? Mm-hmm. I can guarantee you the number one question was like, what is pickup? Most people will ask, what is pickup soccer? Yep. Mm-hmm. Like, what is that? What does that mean? What are you trying to say? Yeah. So they don't even understand the concept of just going and just playing. Yeah. It's always you got to pay to play. You're not just playing to socialize. Yeah. And usually pickup soccer is where you grow your skills and grow different things. Yeah. The things that you don't even know. You know what I mean? But here it's so formal and organized that you have to go to club. If you're good, you move on, you play. ECNL and MLS 1 and MLS 2 and move up in these different categories.
But that's the worst part is that when you play a division, you don't know if your team, if you do well in that season, you don't know if your team's going to move on to another division. As far as, you know, in Europe, you have, you know, the whatever it's called,
the relegation.
Yeah. And if they lose that season, they go on to the second division. Whereas here, they just have playoffs. And so what are they really fighting for? Like, what do you think about that kind of format?
Like I said, football here or soccer here is entertainment. It has the same format as the NBA, which is in a lot. What do you think? Sometimes I watch the NBA and I see popcorns, drinks, things being around. It's more of I'm gonna enjoy myself than I'm gonna have some passion. So there's the difference between passion and like entertainment.
Right.
And I feel like sports here is just mainly for entertainment. Like there's no one so passionate that they're going to. There might be some, but for the most part, it's not what you see on TV. Especially not for soccer. Because soccer is not America's #1 sport, it's baseball. So
well, we can talk about that all day, but I also, you know, when you lived in Johannesburg, did you play club soccer there?
I play for an academy too there. I play for a professional academy in South Africa. The Mamelodi Black Aces. The Black Aces.
Okay. Yeah. How was that experience growing up? Was it just the best? I mean, for any kid, looking back at it, it's probably the best times.
It was hard because I didn't join the academy, so I moved from country to country when I was growing up. So I played for another academy in Cameroon when I was younger. That's where I was born. And it was different because they used to just let us play a lot, and there was a lot of playing, and less like technical, you know. They focused less on the technical aspect of the game. But then I moved to the professional academy in South Africa. It was more of like the technical things, like what to do when this person is here. And I was, 16 by the time I was in the academy. So these kids that had grown in the academy, they kind of knew all the tactical side of the game. So I was a little bit late. So for me personally, it was a little bit harder just because I was a little bit late to the concept that they were used to. But it was still a really fun experience. I mean,
you just had to adapt.
I had to adapt, and the guys were so much better than me at that point, tactically, and that season actually our team, Black Aces, got promoted to the first division. So some of the guys moved to the first team, and our coach from the academy became the assistant coach. It was
That's
great.
Crazy.
It was just a good experience. It was just so much great vibe going on around the team. Like, this guy is going to be playing for the first team, and then you go home and put the TV on, and you'll see the same guy you're training with.
That's crazy.
It was amazing.
Have you been to the state? Like, have you been to the first team games and all that? Were they allow?
So that's the year that I moved. So that was 2014, and then I moved here.
Okay.
When they started the season, I was here, so I didn't have the chance to actually even go watch their game. But they finished third that season in the league.
Really?
Yeah, right. The guys finished third, coming from a relegation. Place.
Did they? How are they doing now? Do you know?
I don't know, man.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully they're doing good.
I would definitely look out for that team.
Yeah.
Speaking of Johannesburg, were you also there for? You said you moved to Johannesburg in 2015.
No, I moved in 2008.
Oh, so you were there for the World Cup?
Yeah, I was there for the World Cup in 2010. It was noisy. If I have to use one word to describe the state, which we were, it was noisy because we had the Fufuzela. You know what the Fufuzela is, and everywhere, stadium, street, stores, beach, everywhere it was the Fufuzela. It just woo, 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 woo. I remember one time when Ronaldo started complaining, saying he can't hear his teammates.
It was crazy. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but during the 2010 World Cup, if you went on YouTube, there was a Vuvuzela icon underneath the video.
Oh yeah.
So you can watch any video. You can watch someone doing an ASMR.
Yeah.
And then if you click the icon, all you hear is the vuvuzelas.
That's pretty cool, though.
So just imagine someone putting so much effort into keeping their video quiet, and then you can just press the icon, and then you just hear Vuvuzelas. That was a weird experience because I kept messing around with that with every video I was watching. But that's the World Cup. I want to go to a World Cup so bad. It's coming to the U.S., but now that you're saying it's more about entertainment, it's like, all right, we'll see what happens.
It's gonna be entertaining because then you get to see all these players like that you usually see on TV, but then you gotta travel because it's gonna be all over the place, and then depending on the game that you want to watch.
Yeah.
It's,
you're gonna go to a game, right? When
is it?
It's 2026.
26 probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If one comes in Orlando or like Miami or wherever I am, LA or New York or whatever,
okay.
Probably go. So. Yeah.
Now, being a coach now, do you remember your first coach, and do you remember anything that he taught you that you put in your coaching styling now? It doesn't have to be your first coach.
Yeah.
It can be your, a coach that you latched onto that you want to learn everything from.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of coaches with different backgrounds and different philosophies, and one that I'll say really impacted me the most was, his name is Coach Joe, and he's the one that turned me from a winger into a midfielder. That's why I play until now. So he told me that I have a good touch and I have a good sense of like knowing where people are on the field. So he turned me into a center midfield, and he will always tell me to go get the ball from the goalkeeper.
Oh, really?
And that's what I used to hate it, because I'm like, what if I lose it? You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So he was always telling me to check in, then check out, there, bring the player out, and then check in, receive the ball from the goalkeeper, and then make the play out wide. At first, it wasn't easy, but that's like. That's what started my philosophy of coaching, which is just keeping it simple, receiving the ball, playing from the back, playing simple passes, and I think that's what brought me here today, honestly. I mean, I've had many other coaches, like Coach Richard on the national team, Coach Luis, the Brazilian coach. I mean, I've had many of them, but I think the one that really impacted me the most was Coach Joe.
Where did he coach at?
He used to coach for Santon FC, which is another academy in South Africa.
That
I played for when I was 14. He taught me how to really keep the game simple and just play on the ground, just keep it simple, make simple passes, and basically the Spanish way of playing.
Oh, so, yeah. A little tiki-taka stuff.
The tiki-taka, keeping it simple, keeping it on the ground. He used to tell me the safest way to play the ball is on the ground.
Yeah.
In the air it becomes 50-50, 49-51, this and that. The safe pass is literally on the ground. Just pass it on the ground, just make a little movement, and then you got it. And that's how I play now.
Yeah.
I don't do any long ball. I'm pretty bad at long ball, actually.
Really?
It just goes to show up that don't really practice it. Yeah.
Well, like I mentioned before, like coaching to me is difficult. I think it's just a difficult position to be in because there's so much pressure you have to deal with on and off the field.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious as why you chose to pursue coaching as a career rather than maybe something else that involves soccer. Like, was coaching really in the back of your head when you were in college?
No, not really. I mean, I wanted to play. Well, I'll tell you what really made me pursue this career. It's the learning part of it.
Yeah.
Because the more you coach, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the more you coach. Because you got to learn to coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to learn more about the game. And the game, yes, but also the psychological side of it. Like learning how players react, like what's going on in their lives. You can tell so much by the movement of players. I mean, personally, I can watch a game and tell what's going on in people's life. I can literally tell if they're in a good position in their life or bad. So that's just that learning process that's going on. I can tell if a player wants to win or if he wants to lose from the start. It's those little things. So it's not just about kicking the ball. It's about the things that you can read outside of it. And I don't know about you. I mean, I like psychology, so that's something that I really look forward to learning more and more and more. So
I want to get more into psychology. I had it in college, but I think it was just the school I was at that I was not interested in anything.
Yeah.
Because my school I went to, it was just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Where'd you go to?
Middle Georgia State University. Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean to the school. It's just, it's literally in the dead center of nowhere. Like we only had Wendy's and a wonderful Mexican restaurant. But then you had to drive 45 minutes to get to a Buffalo Wild Wings or just Society.
Wow.
Because you can just walk into, they have this restaurant called Huddle House, which is like a Georgia Waffle House.
Yeah.
And everyone knew each other, and like you had returning players from the school walk in there, and they're like saying hi to like the neighbors and like everybody else, and you have to like, if you don't get to know these people, you're gonna hate it here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I try to get to know these people, but again, we're just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I feel like to be honest, it was a great experience. It was a good place to be in for a school where you have no distractions.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of like, especially if you're on a losing team,
yeah,
it's like it's gonna get with you mentally, and you're like, I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just, so going back to the psychology thing, it's just it mentally drains you being in a place you don't want to be. So I think that motivation, not only to play soccer but also to go to school, it's just not there.
Yeah.
That actually makes me want to think, because I've met a couple people who have been in my position too.
Yeah.
And I feel like you shouldn't, let me ask you this. You should be taking advantage of everything, especially if you're involved with scholarships.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Especially because KSU, where's that? Kansas.
Kansas, Manhattan.
How was
Kansas.
the environment surrounding you?
It was the same. We had, I think, 25,000 people in the city, and 16,000 of them were students.
Really?
So yeah, it was the same. So most of the people that we knew were students, and there were barely any opportunities for work.
Now,
you know what I mean? Like it was so little and so close.
Now let me ask you this: was it also a point when you were at the school that you're like, I'm not gonna get into a Division I school, I'm not gonna be able to transfer from out of the school? Because I'll be honest, I had that mindset where I'm like, I'm in a losing team. We're not doing anything. I know individually I can play well, but I'm not gonna get nowhere. So you shouldn't really have that mindset at that point on. You should take advantage, even if you're in the middle of nowhere, take advantage of those opportunities, correct? Especially because also another thing I want to mention is that we weren't even a NCAA school. We're an NAIA.
Yeah.
And so at that point, do you even consider yourself even making it to the highest level? So I guess my question is just like, should you take advantage of every opportunity that's in front of you, especially when you're in the deepest, darkest, no one knows anything about this school?
Like take advantage of that place, or other places around.
I guess just that place. Like I said, it's just it's a school that's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're not liking the school, you're not liking the environment, you're just not happy. But should you still take this opportunity and go for it no matter what?
I'll say no. No, because you should be doing something you like. No, doesn't matter where you are, or to the best of your ability. Obviously, if you can't go outside because of family and everything, then yes, obviously you gotta make the best thing that you have possible. But for me personally, I chose to move out because I didn't see any chance of me even playing division. We had a Division I team, but for women. And guess what? We used to play for the club team. It's usually like this when a school doesn't have a men's Division I team, they have a really good club team.
Oh, okay.
Because all the talent go and play for the club team. So I made the club team when in my first semester. But they recruited us to train with the women's Division I team.
Right.
And I kept waiting. I was waiting for the chance that we were ever going to have a Division I men's team. And it was just never coming. So if I had gone with your idea of just making the best way possible, I just still be stuck playing, helping the Division 1 women's team, which is not bad. But I wanted to play soccer. You know, that's personally what I wanted to do.
I'm surprised by your answer. Because I said yes.
You stay?
I would stay. But that's because actually, how did you end up from KSU to UNF? Because I thought it would be a recruitment process. How did you end up?
I did it on my own.
Really?
Yeah, I literally decided to leave.
Interesting.
I decided to leave. I applied to go to different universities. I had Colorado because my good friend was there.
Yeah.
I had University of North Carolina, Charlotte, University of South Carolina, and I had UNF. And they were all like Division 1 schools, but UNF was the cheapest option. Because obviously I wasn't even expecting a scholarship. I was not recruited. I kept calling these coaches. They would never pick up. I kept emailing these coaches. They'll never pick up the phone. I'll send these videos and this and that, but I wanted to move and leave. So I did it on my own. I literally moved. I booked my ticket. I came here. The coach wasn't even still expecting me. He told me to come to camp. I went to the camp. I went and talked to him the first day I got there.
Yeah.
I was living in a motel in about San Marco.
Yeah.
Came out here and I met him the first time. I just wanted to go and just be on that team. So I decided personally to move out and get the best.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by no. Like I decided to move out.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. See, I thought you were recruited this whole time, but you just did everything on your own?
I did everything on my own. The email, nothing, no one.
So you were just a walk-on?
I was a walk-on when I try out. I wasn't even a walk-on to start.
Oh, wow.
I try out. I think it was 2016 when I first got there. I talked to these coaches like multiple times, and I went in there and I'd actually try out like a regular camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they gave me like a 14-day trial with the team because I had emailed them so many times. They said, okay, let's see what you got. 14 days I was training with the team. And they decided to not give me a scholarship. They wanted to make me as a walk-on. But I was young. I was doing everything on my own. I had no like a mentor or anything. So I'm like, no scholarship. I'm not playing this season.
Yeah.
And then they were like, you know what? We'll help you. You can go to other universities, D2 school, and that. At that point, I was making this decision, telling myself, I just traveled all the way from Kansas to Florida, and I just got this semester. If I have to transfer again, I'm like losing all this credit.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna stay here and play this season. So the next semester, I told the coaches, hey, I'm gonna stay and play, and then earn my spot and earn my scholarship. So spring 2017, I was on the team. I was playing. 2018, I was playing, and finally got my scholarship. But yeah, I decided to move on my own.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
See, I was expecting a whole different answer, honestly. But, because, I say just take advantage of everything, but I think I'm going against everything I'm saying now. That's very interesting. But during that time, you don't have to get too deep into it, but it was probably a time where it was just very difficult, very... were you alone throughout the whole process?
Yeah, I was in Kansas alone. I decided to go to Kansas alone. Yeah.
And then when we came to Jacksonville, you came alone too?
I came alone. I didn't even know where I was going.
What made you so... Because nothing was promised for you. Either way, so what motivated you every single day?
I don't know. I was just going after what I wanted to do. I just wanted to play.
You did play.
I literally just wanted to play. I had no idea where I was going. I was just getting up and going after what I like. And that's something that I've done my whole life. Get up and just go after what you like. Just do it. There's no worse thing that what you for me, there's no worse at this point.
Crazy.
Yeah, I just go after it. So.
And are you now just happy in the position you are today?
Yeah. I'm happy I came to a city that has almost 1 million people, and I have all these opportunities. I can make my own business from scratch. I have a friend that made his own business just like what I'm doing here, but in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
If I had stayed there, maybe I could have done that, but maybe not. But I'm in a position where I can literally quit right now and just work for a company in the city that's offering something big. But in Manhattan, Kansas, it would have never been the same. You know what I mean? So I thought about that thing too. It's a city with barely 30,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
compared to a city with 1 million people. It's different. You know, just go after it. Literally.
Yeah.
That was my mindset. Just go after it.
Are you always going to be coaching just individually, or are you planning on, you know, maybe joining a club and start coaching teams, or are you just going to stick with just your own business and just individually?
See, I want to grow this and start hiring people, and because I feel like club is involved with too much drama per se.
Okay.
But also what they do is not really player driven most often. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So a team might work on the tactical part of things, but the technical side is missing for almost 65 to 70% of the players. They'll know how to make a run, when to make a run, but when they get to that ball, they won't know what to do because they haven't practiced the dribbling. They haven't practiced how to pass. They haven't practiced how to do the simple things. They don't have balance to keep that ball. They don't know how to shield that ball. So when you send your kid to a club, you're thinking, oh, they're learning something. They're learning, obviously, how to become a team player and all those values, which is great. At the end of the day, they still need to play. But if they want to take their game to the next level, I think there's something much more that they need to look outside of the team. And that's the service that I provide. So how do you actually control the ball when you have it? How do you actually dribble when you have it? How do you actually make a pass, an accurate pass? How do you shoot the ball when you have it? You know, those little things. It's like the detail part of it that I'm working on. So I think I'm going to expand it and probably hire a lot more people that are qualified in this field. Obviously, there are a lot of people that work in Jacksonville in this field, but I want to work with a whole group to a point where we can just elevate a lot of kids that are playing club and want to take it to the next level, because most kids don't want it, and which is perfectly fine. But if they want to take it to the next level, to a point where they know how to do things, then
is that the short-term goal, or is also the long-term goal?
It's both.
That's
but
both.
The long one is having this as a private session academy, which is probably something that doesn't even exist yet. Maybe not. But a place where you just go and people assess you, and then you work on like the things that you're missing and then the things that you want to be better at.
Do you want to take it outside? Obviously want to take it outside of Jacksonville.
Outside of Jax, probably all over the U.S., like long term, like all over the U.S. where you can just book your session, probably travel to start, and have one destination in like every hub or something. Yeah.
Did you, when you started off your business, was it mostly, how did you get your name out there? Because I know you had to go straight, like start from scratch.
Yeah. And
what was the most difficult part about starting your business and getting your name out there and having people trust you, you know, coaching, you know, someone else?
I think it was word of mouth. What I was doing was literally working. Yeah. And the parents, they loved it. Especially when I was working with young kids and they were learning so fast and they loved it, and they'll tell the next person and the next person will tell the next person, and that's how it grew. I've never spent a dime on advertising on social media. I also just started the social media just to kind of show what we're doing and, you know, give people some free tips on how to do things, but it's been mostly word of mouth, mainly.
It was spreading quickly for you then, huh? Yeah. Because 6-8 months, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, word of mouth. I started with one kid, and then before I knew, I had about like 20, 25, 35.
Wow.
And then I'll have, probably 75, but then you have like 40 that come in week in and week out. Yeah. So, and then I have some that are seasonal because they have a season, they don't want to be practicing. But overall, it's just word of mouth. And people just seeing what I'm doing, they go back to their club, they become better, and then
that's probably the best experience, huh?
Yeah, the parents ask what happened. Literally, that's how I get the camp that I had this summer. Parents ask, what happened to your daughter? Like, what happened to her? She, he's been training with this guy. Yeah. And then I have like 6 of them from the same team. Now they're training with me, and then they go back and they, what happened to you? And it's word of mouth. I believe if you do something good and you put in work, and then it's just gonna come back right back to you. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Did you, and I know you're working with kids, but you also work with, you know, young adults that are getting into the college level or at least professional level, anything like that?
Yeah, I work with college athletes and also adults that are in the like UPSL level and like semi-pro level.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different and it's fast-paced for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they already understand most of the concept that we're working on.
Yeah.
So when we go out there, it's mainly like the technical side won't really be applied to it. Technical side meaning like, you know, like passing the ball. And obviously we're gonna be focusing a little bit on it, but it's mainly like the tactical side of it, right, and the mental side of it. If you look at a player like Jesse Lingard, after he left Manchester United, I don't know if you know, but he went and found a coach. Yeah. And that the coach that changed his mindset. Yeah. And then he went to West Ham and became a new player. They were calling him Lingardinho, like the Brazilian. It's a great comeback. Yeah. So that's when it comes to that level, is like what I'm trying to focus on is mainly more of their mindset than the technical side. But when they're younger, like 14, it has to be a technical mindset, but a little bit more technical because they're still growing. They still need to learn how to pass the ball, dribble, and all of that thing. But the mindset still kind of have to be there. So it's like you're dividing the attention of what you're offering, like mindset, technical, tactical. And then depending on the age, you're providing a different service. So,
well, Boris, one thing I definitely want to close out from this interview is what's the number one advice you give to your kids, the players that you coach and everything like that? What helps them understand what they're doing, and what like type of advice would you give them?
I'll give them the advice that I've learned myself. It's always start with why, literally, like why are you doing this? If you don't like what you're doing, what's the point? You know, it's just start with why, because that's gonna carry your energy and put that energy into the work that you're doing, and the result is most often greater. If you're playing because you want to be better and that's your why, and you want to be faster and that's your why, then you have a lot more motivation to go out there and do it. So just start with why. The why am I playing? Like, why am I playing this position? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this job? Why am I going to school? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And then don't lie to yourself. Just start with why.
That was Boris Sinefeu, and I want to thank him for being on the show to talk about his amazing journey. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we hope to see you on the next one. Take care.